So one question that I wanted to address that may come up is that why is Nindya, Chugli or slander such a big sin in Gurbani? So those of us who do Gurbani the Part, or if we may have read Sukhmani Sahib, there's so many verses dedicated to the negative effects of slander, which in Gurbani is Nindya, Chugli. Slanderer is compared to a murderer, is compared to somebody who has done like an irredeemable sin. So, but why is it such a big sin? So if we carefully read Gurbani, it tells us, Ninda pali kise ki nahi. Slander of anybody, no matter if we perceive them to be, a thief, somebody who's, engaged in bad habits, slander of anybody is not good. But especially Gurbani recommends never slander a saint, never slander somebody who's walking the path of God. And it's important also to understand who Gurbani says is like a saint or is somebody we should especially refrain from their slander. So whenever Gurbani uses the word sant or sad or gurmukh, it never refers to any specific person who is that. It refers to a set of habits that those people may have. So, for example, for defining a sant, jina saas giras na visre hannama manmant. Somebody who never forgets God for even a second, and God's name is always on their mind. Tanse sei nanaka puran soi sant. Only they are blessed and only they should be considered a complete saint. So why is slandering them such a big sin? So if we think of it, Gurbani takes the perspective that they have certain habits that define them as being a saint. So when we slander them, we're actually going against those habits to be present within us. For example, whatever we really admire, whatever we worship, we unconsciously and consciously strive towards adopting those characteristics. So if we slander somebody who's a saint, we're not only slandering them, but we're slandering all of those habits, all of those virtues that they represent. And in so doing, we're cutting off our own potential. We're cutting off our own the potential, tremendous potential of our human life to become one with God. There's also a verse by Bhagat Kabirji that really explains this concept. Bhagat Kabirji says, Sant jana ko mat koi nindo, Sant Ram hai eko. Kabir Sahib says, don't slander the saints because the saints and God are one. But how do we know who is a saint and who is not? Well, Gurbani would tell us don't slander anybody because we don't know what good virtues they could have. But Kabir Sahib says in the next verse, Kaho Kabir, main so gur paya, janka nao babeko. Kabir Sahib says, I have obtained that guru, that spiritual wisdom, that guiding force whose name is Bibek, which means discerning wisdom. The Bibek means the ability to see what's true and what's false. So if we translate that into how does that apply to our life? So we should humbly do Nam Simran. We should respect those who are on the path of Nam Simran, respect those who Gurbani would call saints, gurmukhs, and slowly we will gain that bibek, that ability to discern who really is on the path of God, who really is a saint and who is not. And Kabir Sahib says that slandering a saint is one of the biggest sins that we could do. Guru Arjan Dev Ji in Sukhmani Sahib dedicates Ashtpadis, whole 8-paragraph compositions to why Nindya, Chugli, slander is such a bad habit. And that's only the spiritual destruction that Nindya, Chugli can cause, but it can also cause social destruction. For example, if we say things that are false about other people and those spread, that can really damage that person's mental health. That can cause them to feel like a social outcast. So, and it's something that definitely we should steer clear from in every situation. So that's the spiritual reason and also the social reason why Gurbani places so much emphasis on why Nindya Chugli is a big sin.